Hello everyone, and welcome back to Fallout 76 for what is no longer a weekly trip to the Purveyor. Well, technically, we're still going to visit the Purveyor because we need to pick up some legendary modules, but what we're going to start doing here, I think for a little while anyway, is we're going to alternate weeks. One week we'll do legendary crafting and see what we can get. The next week we'll just do a straight up 1000 script at the Purveyor so that we still get a chance to talk about different weapons and different effects, but that seems like the way to go for me. Maybe we'll change that as time goes on. We'll try some different things as things change. Remember, as always, if you like videos like this and you want to see more, do go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment. You all know the drill at this point. So for now, let's head on into the Purveyor. We're going to pick up some extra legendary modules, and then we'll head down to the basement and we'll craft some legendary dragons and some legendary Crusader pistols. My main goal here today is legendary dragons. I want to try and get a good one to do a weapon spotlight on next week. If we get a good one and still have some materials left, then we'll switch over to the Crusader pistol. We'll just stop in here by Mama Mumbles and pick up some legendary modules. That is really all most players are going to use her for at this point. And then we can quickly head downstairs. Don't know, there is a weapon workbench conveniently located downstairs at the Rusty Pick. So if you're going to craft weapons, you don't even have to go back to your camp. Let's see what we get on our first roll here. We've got enough for a total of 10 3-star legendary rolls. So if I have to roll 10 dragons, I will, but that's not the goal. The goal is to get a good one, or at least an interesting one, that we can do a weapon spotlight on next week. So if I get a good one on the first roll, then I'll just stop and move to Crusader pistols. But let's see what we get here. My guess is we're going to have to do this a few times. So we've got a Vampire's Dragon with VATS critical hits doing more damage and 25% less VATS AP cost. Well, this is a shame. I love the second and third stars, but the Vampire's effect is kind of pointless on a weapon like this. It fires so slowly. You're not going to generate a lot. You're not going to regenerate a lot of health when you shoot it. So unless it's got a really good something else on it, then what's the point? So, I mean, this does have a good second and third star, but I just don't think it's going to be an interesting one for a weapon spotlight. So unfortunately, we're going to have to re-roll. So this is the drawback to the legendary crafting system. If it's a weapon that you can just craft more of, then that's no problem. I could keep this one and then just craft another one and roll new legendary effects on that. But you can't craft the dragon. You have to find it, and it's pretty rare. So I only have one. That means even though I like this second and third star, because the first star is no good, I have no choice. I have to re-roll my effects. Let's roll the dice and see what the next one is. And this one is a little more interesting. So here we've got anti-armor, which is very good. Bashing damage increased by 50%, which is total garbage. And breaks 50% slower, which I actually happen to really like. The lifespan of a dragon in terms of how often you need to repair it is not amazing. So breaking 50% slower would be very useful. Unfortunately for this one, the anti-armor effect, I don't love on this weapon. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad roll, but the way armor penetration works in Fallout 76, when you have a weapon that does really high per shot damage, going ahead and giving it anti-armor doesn't do that much for it. It's already beating most of the target's armor. So we're not getting a ton of mileage out of that. Plus we're already going to have tank killer, and our second star is bashing damage, which isn't interesting at all unless you just really like things that are useless. So let's try another one. Now we've got Gourmands the Dragon. VATS critical hits do more damage and +1 perception. So this one's interesting. It's interesting because it's one of the new effects. So basically, as our hunger and thirst meters fill, we do more damage. That sounds great on paper. VATS critical shots doing more damage is also great. Extra perception gives us more VATS accuracy, which is really good. But when we look a little closer at the Gourmands effect, it's not so impressive. So damage increases as our hunger and thirst meters fill. What does that actually mean? Well, unfortunately, what it actually means is when your hunger meter is full, you get an extra 12% damage. When your thirst meter is full, you get an extra 12% damage, for a total of 24% additive damage. That is less than almost everything. This is basically the weakest of the legendary effects. So that's not very exciting. And if you happen to catch a disease where it depletes your hunger or thirst faster, anything like that, you're not even really consistently going to get that. So I'm not a fan of this one. The effect on armor isn't bad, but on, at least in comparison to other effects, but on a weapon, total of 24% damage? Yeah, no, that's not going to cut it. Sorry, but this is the problem with some of these new legendary effects, is they're great in concept, but they were so stingy with the damage that it's just crazy. Let's try again. What do we get? Oh no, maybe we should have just kept the anti-armor one. Suppressor's Dragon. VATS critical shots do more damage and faster reload. So this one is arguably a little bit better than the Vampire's one, but not really. No, the Vampire's one would have been better. The Suppressor's effect is fairly useless. It reduces a target's damage output by 25% for 5 seconds. That's not a bad thing if you're playing a kind of support role, but on a weapon like this where you're generally shooting from a distance and it takes up to 10 seconds to reload this, maybe you're a little quicker if you have Speed Demon, yeah, it's just not going to be that useful. It really just isn't. VATS critical shots doing more damage is great, but it's not that great. Faster reload, again, that helps it a little bit, but the reload is just so painfully slow on this weapon to begin with that, unfortunately, even though the suppressor's effect works, there just isn't that much to use it for, and it's way too slow on this one. Let's try again. Let's see what else we can get. And another Gourmands. This one with limb damage and perception, so this one isn't even as good as the last one. Yeah, so we kind of talked about that at length. Not much reason to go further into it here. The limb damage effect on a weapon like this is fairly pointless. What's the point of limb damage when your goal with a weapon like this, unquestionably, is to kill things in one shot and do as much damage as humanly possible. So extra limb damage doesn't help that much. Let's try again. Now we've got a Nocturnal Dragon with bashing damage and agility. So Nocturnal definitely improved since the update. They got rid of the negative effect during the day, which is awesome. And they slightly buffed the damage at night. I believe they took it from 50 to 60%. So it's a little better, but it doesn't start until a little bit later. Or it starts a little bit earlier, but you don't get much out of it. And then I think it's, if I remember correctly, it starts at 8 p.m. and you get a little something. And then after 10 p.m., you get the maximum 60%. So it's good at night, but during the day, it's not doing anything for you. Bashing damage is useless. Agility is nice to have, but it's not that big of a deal. So sadly, definitely not going to keep this one. Let's try again. All right, can we do any better? Not really. Okay, so we've got a Ghoul Slayers with VATS critical shots doing more damage and 15% faster reload. So why is this worthless? Well, it's worthless because it does 50% more damage to ghouls, which is great. Unfortunately, a regular non-legendary dragon will one-shot any ghoul you see. So there's really no point in this weapon doing extra damage to ghouls. VATS critical shots doing more damage gives you a little something against everything else, which is good, but not that vital. Faster reload, again, good, but not that vital. This thing is still so brutal when you reload it, it's not doing much for you. All right, we've got enough modules left for 3 more rolls. If we do this again, can we get something worth keeping? That is the question. Let's try again. Okay. And, okay, this one's interesting. This one's definitely interesting. Not what I was hoping for. I was really hoping for a bloodied one, but this is not bad. So here we've got an Executioner's with exploding bullets and extra perception. So the extra perception is going to help us with our VATS accuracy. Exploding bullets is going to give us a nice little damage boost. And Executioners, while it's not going to be super helpful for squishy things like ghouls, It's going to be very helpful, at least potentially, for things like Scorch Beasts, Sheep Squatches, Mirelurk Queens, Super Mutant Behemoths, things that are going to take a handful of shots to take down. So this could be a really good one for that. You know, this isn't the kind of weapon you're going to go ghoul hunting with at Whitespring anyway. It reloads too slowly. If you're running around with this thing indoors, you're asking for pain. So that's not a good way to use this weapon to begin with. So going for bigger targets, you know, essentially using it as a big game hunting weapon could be kind of interesting. That's not bad. This is not a bad roll. I think we're going to stick with this one. Let's go ahead. Yeah, I'm definitely going to stick with this one. You know, there's a chance that we could do better, but there's also a chance we could do worse, and I've only got 2 rolls left. Let's go ahead and craft up a Crusader pistol and make sure it's level 50. And with this one, we can always craft another one. So maybe we'll just craft 2, but let's see what we do here on the first one. So let's see here. We're going to put a 3-star legendary mod on it. We've got 2 chances. And what can we get? We've got a Berserker's Explosive Crusader pistol with faster movement speed while aiming. So this one's kind of intriguing. The Berserker's effect lost, much like Nocturnal, lost its negative for when you have damage resistance, which is good. But it was also, I don't want to say it was nerfed because the maximum damage buff you get is still the same, but it was nerfed if you have more than 0 but less than, I believe, 60 damage resistance. So when you were in that position before, you used to get a little more damage, and that's why you'd see people running around with like level 10 Chinese stealth suits or wood armor that has very low damage resistance. Now, if you have any damage resistance at all, you don't get much out of it. Fortunately, you don't go into negative territory, but yeah, the days of running around with a little bit of armor on are probably over. So not bad, you know, in that it definitely improved that, but I don't really have a Berserker character. Every character I have has at least the scaly skin mutation on, so I don't know that I'll even be able to test this, but exploding bullets is always good. Faster movement speed while aiming. That's not really going to help because we have Speed Demon on all those characters, but it's at least kind of an interesting roll. So rather than just re-roll it, I think I'm going to keep that one. Let's go ahead and craft another Crusader pistol so that we can keep that one just in case I decide to do something with it. And we'll get one more shot here and see if we get anything good. I'd say come on Mama Mumbles, but she's got nothing to do with this one. So here we've got, okay, this one's reasonably interesting. We've got a 2-shot Crusader pistol with 25% damage while aiming and extra agility. So we did a weapon spotlight last week on the, or this past week on the Nocturnal handmade with damage while aiming. And I was very confused by its performance. I have learned since through testing and commentary from others that the damage while aiming effect has a little bit of a delay. So I think that's what was going wrong. I was really snapping with the aim assist enabled and just snapping on target, shooting right away, and that's why I wasn't seeing that effect. So I'm interested to be able to test another weapon with that. The 2-shot effect has always been popular, even though I don't know why. I think it's awful. So honestly, I'm kind of interested to test this weapon out just to see how it works, where you split your damage between 2 projectiles. So I am kind of interested to test this out and see if it's decent. Certainly it would be better if it was 2-shot explosive, but 25% damage while aiming versus roughly 20% explosive damage. The numbers wise, you're doing the same, honestly, a little better with this. So maybe we're okay there. I guess if we had Demolition Expert on, it'd be a little higher, but yeah, so this one's kind of interesting here. This is an interesting one to test. I don't love it, but that doesn't make it not interesting. And I always try to keep an open mind, so maybe my mind will change with some testing. But I think what we're going to do is next week we'll test out that Executioner's Dragon. The week after that, I think we'll probably test out that 2-shot Crusader pistol. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to do it for this one. Thank you for joining me for the first official journey into legendary crafting. There will be more of these. I think I'm going to alternate week to week between crafting and just cashing in script. We'll see how people like them. We'll see how much fun they are and how useful they are for me as a player. But beyond that, I hope you've enjoyed yourself. And if you did, please do go ahead and subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, follow me on Twitter. You know the drill at this point. Most importantly, I hope I see you next time. And until then, I'm Fisty McRib.